If your feet feel numb, tingly, or strangely disconnected, especially at night or after a long day, you're not alone. Millions of seniors assume it's just aging or poor circulation. But what if the real cause is sitting right on your dinner plate? In this video, we'll reveal 3 vegetables that, while considered healthy, may quietly worsen numbness and nerve pain in your feet. And we're not just talking about greasy junk food. One of these is even labeled a superfood. But if you're over 60, eating too much of it might make things worse. Stick around. This could change how your feet feel every morning. Let's start with something most people never suspect. Numbness in your feet isn't always caused by nerve damage. Sometimes the real issue is what's sitting on your plate. That's right. Certain foods, even ones marketed as healthy, may be interfering with your nerve signals. And if you're over 60, the risk is even greater. You see, as we age, our circulation slows down. The nerves in our legs and feet, which rely on a constant flow of oxygen and nutrients, become more vulnerable. And here's the twist. Some vegetables, the very ones you've been told are good for you, might actually be making things worse. Let's begin with a surprising culprit: tomatoes. They're bright, juicy, and filled with antioxidants like lycopene. You've probably heard they support heart health and reduce cancer risk. But what most people don't realize is that tomatoes belong to a family of plants called nightshades. And that's where the issue begins. Nightshades contain natural chemicals called alkaloids. One in particular, called solanine, has been shown to cause inflammation in certain people. If you've ever dealt with arthritis, joint pain, or nerve sensitivity, these compounds could quietly be fueling the very symptoms you're trying to fix. And if you're eating tomatoes every day, especially in sauces, stews, or salads, your body might be reacting without you even knowing it. But it's not just tomatoes. Other common nightshades include eggplant, bell peppers, and white potatoes. These vegetables, while nutritious for many, can sometimes create low-grade inflammation that builds over time. And for seniors, that slow, silent inflammation can be enough to disrupt circulation and increase numbness in the feet. A study published in the medical journal Inflammopharmacology found that nightshade vegetables can elevate inflammatory markers in certain individuals, especially those with autoimmune conditions or chronic nerve stress. So while the effect isn't universal, it is significant. And if you're already dealing with neuropathy, pins and needles, or a heavy sensation in your feet, reducing nightshades could be the shift your body has been waiting for. Now, this doesn't mean you have to ban tomatoes from your life. Cooking them can lower their alkaloid content, making them easier for your body to handle. You can also try cutting them out entirely for 2 weeks, just to see how your feet respond. Many seniors report a noticeable improvement: less tingling, better balance, and fewer strange foot sensations. Sometimes the answers are right in front of us, hidden in foods we assumed were safe. And now that you've seen what tomatoes and other nightshades can do, wait until you hear about the next vegetable. It's often praised as a natural detoxifier, but it may actually interfere with how your nerves send signals to your brain. Now that we've uncovered the hidden risk in tomatoes and other nightshades, let's turn to something even more surprising. You're told to eat more greens. You're told to add them to smoothies, steam them with dinner, and pile them onto your plate. But if you've been dealing with cold toes, pins and needles, or strange tingling in your feet, there's one leafy green you may want to think twice about, especially if you're eating it every day: spinach. Yes, spinach. The same leafy vegetable that Popeye made famous. It's packed with iron, calcium, and vitamins that seem to scream health. But for seniors, especially those with circulation issues or early nerve dysfunction, spinach can come with a hidden catch. You see, spinach is extremely high in something called oxalates. These are natural compounds that bind to minerals in your food, especially calcium, and prevent your body from absorbing them properly. That sounds harmless at first, but here's the problem. Over time, oxalates can build up in your bloodstream, and when they do, they start interfering with how calcium moves through your system. They can even form crystals, which irritate tissues, stress your kidneys, and inflame your nerves. That inflammation may not feel like a sharp pain. It may show up as a slow, creeping numbness in your toes, a strange coldness that comes and goes, or a feeling like your feet are wrapped in cotton. These aren't random aging signs. They're messages, signals from your body that something isn't quite right. And spinach isn't the only vegetable loaded with oxalates. Swiss chard and beet greens fall into the same category. While they have great nutritional value, they can silently increase your body's oxalate load, especially if eaten raw or in large quantities. A 2019 study in clinical nutrition research confirmed that high oxalate diets can worsen symptoms of neuropathy in people with kidney stress, metabolic syndrome, or diabetes. In other words, the very people who are most likely to be adding healthy greens to their meals may also be the most at risk. But there's good news. You don't have to give up leafy greens entirely. There's a smarter way to eat them. Cooking spinach significantly reduces its oxalate content. Blanching, steaming, or sautéing it in olive oil helps break down those compounds, making the nutrients easier to absorb and gentler on your nerves. You can also rotate your greens. Try including arugula, romaine, or baby kale, which are lower in oxalates and easier on your system. It's not about restriction. It's about understanding how your body responds. Because once you stop flooding your system with hidden irritants, something amazing happens. Your feet begin to feel alive again. That dull, disconnected sensation begins to fade. Blood starts flowing where it needs to go. Nerves begin to wake up. And the simple act of standing, walking, or even sleeping becomes less of a challenge and more of a joy. So before you toss another handful of raw spinach into your blender, ask yourself, how are my feet feeling lately? And now we've reached the final stretch. The third vegetable on our list might be the most unexpected of all. It's starchy, it's mild, and it's found in almost every kitchen. But it could be the quiet reason your circulation is struggling, and why your feet feel like they're falling asleep even when you're wide awake. We've already talked about tomatoes, packed with inflammation-triggering compounds. We've uncovered spinach, loaded with oxalates that can quietly block mineral absorption and irritate your nerves. But now we come to a vegetable so common, so bland, that most people never think twice about it. I'm talking about white potatoes. They're comfort food. Mashed, roasted, baked, or fried, they're a staple at dinner tables around the world. But for seniors, especially those experiencing neuropathy or blood sugar challenges, white potatoes can be a hidden danger. The reason lies in how your body processes them. White potatoes are a high glycemic food, which means they convert rapidly into glucose the moment you eat them. And for aging bodies that are already working harder to regulate blood sugar, this spike can be more than just a dietary inconvenience. It can directly affect your circulation. Here's how it works. When your blood sugar rises too quickly, your body produces a surge of insulin to bring it back down. But repeated spikes, like those that happen after a big serving of mashed potatoes, lead to something called glycemic stress. That stress triggers inflammation, damages blood vessels, and deprives your nerves of the oxygen and nutrients they need. And when your nerves are undernourished, they begin to misfire. That's when you start to feel the symptoms. Cold feet when it's not cold, tingling that seems to come from nowhere, or a strange heaviness in your legs, especially after meals. You might think it's fatigue, or maybe even aging, but in truth it could be how your body is responding to something as simple as a baked potato. There's even a medical name for the damage this process causes. It's called diabetic neuropathy. And while you don't need to be diabetic to develop it, the repeated exposure to blood sugar spikes, especially from foods like white potatoes, can lead to very similar symptoms. And here's something else to consider. White potatoes also belong to the nightshade family, just like tomatoes and eggplants. That means they carry the same inflammation-triggering alkaloids we mentioned earlier. So not only do they disrupt blood sugar, but they also add to your body's inflammatory load. That's a double hit to your nerve health. But here's the part you need to hear. You don't have to give up potatoes completely. What you need is a smarter swap. Try sweet potatoes instead. They're rich in fiber, lower on the glycemic index, and packed with antioxidants like beta-carotene, which can actually support nerve healing. They satisfy the same craving, but without the blood sugar roller coaster. Another great option is mashed cauliflower. When prepared right, it's creamy, filling, and kind to your nervous system. The key is learning what your body responds to, because sometimes it's not about cutting everything out. It's about choosing foods that support you, especially the parts of you that are already working harder with age. So the next time you feel that numb, disconnected sensation in your feet, think back to what was on your plate. The answer might be softer than you expect, but its impact can be powerful. And now that we've uncovered all three vegetables, what comes next is just as important. Because avoiding harmful foods is only half the equation. Up next, we'll explore simple, natural ways to support your nerves, boost circulation, and restore sensation in your feet, starting with your very next meal. Let's take a deep breath and reset. We've talked about what not to eat, the vegetables that inflame, irritate, and silently disrupt your body's most delicate systems. But now, let's talk about what your body needs, especially your feet, because your nerves aren't gone, they're not broken. They're waiting to be nourished, waiting to be supported, waiting for you to give them the building blocks they've been missing for years. So let's begin. First, your nerves need oxygen. That comes from blood. And for blood to flow freely to your toes and fingertips, your vessels need to stay wide, relaxed, and unclogged. That's where circulation-supporting foods come in, like beets, which contain natural nitrates that expand your blood vessels and improve blood flow to your extremities. And then there's omega-3 fatty acids, the unsung heroes of nerve repair, found in wild salmon, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. Omega-3s reduce inflammation and help rebuild the myelin sheath that protects and insulates your nerves. If your nerves are sending scrambled signals or no signals at all, omega-3s might be the missing piece. Don't forget magnesium either. It's found in leafy greens, avocado, pumpkin seeds, and almonds. Magnesium calms nerve excitability, improves circulation, and even helps regulate blood sugar, protecting your nerves from sugar-related stress before it starts. Another big one, vitamin B12. This is one of the most important vitamins for seniors to pay attention to. It fuels nerve regeneration, supports energy, and helps with the production of red blood cells that carry oxygen to your feet. Without enough B12, nerves can shrivel, weaken, and misfire. And the problem is, B12 absorption drops sharply with age. So where can you get it? Animal proteins like eggs, fish, poultry, and fortified cereals. And if you're plant-based, a simple B12 supplement can make a life-changing difference. Sometimes just fixing a long-standing B12 deficiency can bring the feeling back to your feet in as little as a few weeks. Now let's talk about hydration, the most overlooked healer of all. Dehydrated nerves struggle to conduct signals. Your blood becomes thicker. Circulation slows. Tissues swell. Even mild dehydration can worsen foot numbness. So if you're reaching for sodas, coffee, or alcohol more often than water, your nerves are quietly paying the price. Switch to herbal teas, cucumber water, or even warm lemon water throughout the day. It may seem simple, but your body will feel it, fast. And here's a final secret. Spices heal too. Ginger, turmeric, Garlic and cinnamon are powerful anti-inflammatories that support circulation, protect nerves, and even help regulate blood sugar. Start adding a pinch to your meals, soups, and teas. You don't need a prescription, just a little bit of consistency. Because here's the truth. Healing your nerves isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing a few key things consistently. Every small choice you make, swapping white potatoes for sweet potatoes, drinking a glass of water instead of a soda, adding a sprinkle of turmeric to your rice, each one pushes your body toward healing instead of decline. You may not feel the shift right away, but over time the numbness softens, the tingling fades, warmth returns, balance improves, and for the first time in years, you feel connected to your body again. You are not too old to heal. Your nerves are not too far gone. And your next chapter can feel better than the last, starting one plate at a time. But before we close, there's one final twist you should hear, because while food is a major trigger of nerve damage, there's another silent culprit that almost no one talks about, and it could be making your foot numbness worse, no matter how healthy you eat. So far, we've uncovered 3 vegetables that may quietly trigger nerve discomfort. We've talked about blood sugar, about inflammation, about silent damage you can taste but not see. But here's what almost no one tells you. Even if you eat perfectly, even if you avoid every trigger, your nerves may still be under attack. And the reason has nothing to do with food. It has to do with something you do every day. Sitting, not moving, staying in one position too long, watching TV, scrolling, waiting. Every hour you spend inactive slows your blood flow, your muscles stiffen, your circulation drops, and your nerves, they start to suffocate quietly, slowly. It doesn't happen all at once. It creeps in. A little tingling here, a cold toe there, a strange numbness when you stand up too fast. And here's the worst part. Most people ignore these signs. They chalk them up to aging. They accept them, but not you, not anymore. Because now you know. You know how food affects your nerves. You know how inflammation hides in your vegetables. And you know that your body is talking to you every time your feet go numb. So here's the next question. What if movement, not medicine, was the missing cure? What if a single 5-minute routine could reawaken your nerves right at home? Because in the next video, that's exactly what we're going to explore. Not theory, not supplements, real science-backed movements that bring life back to your legs, starting from the feet up. So don't stop now. Your next step could change how you walk, how you sleep, and how you feel in your own skin. Are you ready?